I froze the moment I saw it on his laptop. A document titled Post-Nuptial Revision Draft. Lines about my assets, clauses about inheritance after medical procedure. A plan to take everything from me, right after ending my pregnancy. Right there, in our quiet home office in Brooklyn, I realized this wasn't just a dramatic story of betrayal. This was a setup. A trap. A life I was never meant to survive. And you're about to see exactly how it all began. In New York City, I learned my life was not what I thought. We have to act now. Those were the first words my gynecologist said the moment he lowered the ultrasound probe and wiped his forehead like he had just seen something terrifying. His voice was sharp, urgent, nothing like the calm, careful tone he always used. I blinked at him, confused. Act now? What happened? He didn't answer. Instead, he reached for the metal tray beside him, the one holding surgical consent forms I had no business seeing at 9 weeks pregnant. But what he revealed next was something no pregnant woman should ever hear from her own husband. And at that moment, I didn't know that this appointment would shatter everything I believed about my marriage. Your husband called me this morning, he said. He gave very clear instructions. My heart started pounding. Instructions about what? The doctor avoided my eyes. That's what scared me the most. He told me you've decided to terminate. Terminate what? I whispered, even though I knew. He swallowed. The pregnancy. My breath caught in my throat. That's not true. I never said that. The doctor finally looked up at me, and what I saw in his eyes wasn't medical concern. It was fear. I asked him if you were sure, he said quietly. He told me this baby would make your life harder, that you'd understand once things settled down. My spine went cold. What else did he say? I asked, my voice barely a sound. The doctor hesitated, then exhaled. He said he can't raise a child who won't look like him. That sentence sliced right through me. For a moment I couldn't speak. My husband, my sweet, gentle husband who kissed my forehead every morning, had told another man that he didn't want our child because it would be mixed, that he was already planning to erase a life he helped create. I would never end this pregnancy, I said, my voice cracking. Never. I know, the doctor murmured, and I shouldn't have agreed to even prepare anything. I'm sorry. He was insistent. Insistent. The word echoed in my head as I grabbed my purse and walked out of that tiny white room with the smell of sanitizer burning my nose. Outside, the sun felt too bright, too loud, too wrong, because in one single morning with one single sentence from a man in a white coat, I realized something horrifying. The person I trusted with my life had never accepted all of who I am, and now he didn't want the child growing inside me either. My name is Tammy. I'm 32 years old. By every material standard, I'm a success story. I built my company from a tiny co-working desk and a secondhand laptop into a multi-million-dollar brand. People like to call me inspiring, a self-made millionaire, proof that hard work pays. They see the magazine cover, the speaking events, the perfectly curated LinkedIn profile. What they don't see is me today, standing on the sidewalk outside a clinic, clutching my stomach with one hand and my phone with the other, wondering how I missed what was right in front of me. If only I had paid attention to the early signs. They were small, quiet, almost invisible. But each one was pointing to the truth I was too in love to see. My husband's name is Andrew. He's 38. I met him 3 years ago when he joined my company as a mid-level manager. From the beginning, everyone teased me. Tammy, the new guy keeps finding ways to talk to you. Tammy, I think your employee is in love with his boss. He was the one who made the first move, not me. He asked if we could get coffee just to talk about leadership after a team meeting. I said yes, thinking it was just mentoring. But the way he listened to me, the way his blue eyes focused like I was the only person in the room, it felt different. I've never met a woman like you. He told me on our third coffee, you built all this by yourself. That's incredible. I had been so busy proving myself in boardrooms that I didn't realize how starved I was for softness. Someone who saw me as more than a target number, more than a symbol of diversity on a brochure. I was the only black woman at my level for a long time. I got used to the way people stared when Andrew and I walked into restaurants together. The raised eyebrows from waiters. The way his uncle paused the first time we were introduced, like his brain needed a second to compute the picture. But Andrew, he always defended me. At least that's what I believed. When his mother made a comment at our engagement dinner, "Mixed couples have such a hard time, dear. Children can be confused, you know. Society isn't kind." Andrew squeezed my hand under the table. "Mom, it's 2024, he said, laughing. "Relax. Love is love." I remember feeling proud of him that night. Proud that he chose me openly. Proud that he told his very white, very traditional family that I was the woman he wanted. I told myself their awkward silence was just generational ignorance. I told myself love would soften them over time. Looking back now, I realize there were moments that should have warned me, tiny cracks that I tried to cover with love, but nothing prepared me for what I later found hidden on his laptop. There were small things, of course. Moments I brushed aside, like when we were watching TV and an interracial couple appeared in a commercial. Andrew said, "Brands are trying too hard these days. It feels forced." I joked back, "So people like us are forced now?" He kissed my cheek and said, "You know what I mean, babe. Not everyone is as open-minded as I am. People can be cruel to kids who are different. Different." I thought he was worried for our future children, not about his own discomfort. There was also the time one of my cousins visited from out of town and stayed with us. She wore her natural hair in a big, carefree afro. When she left, Andrew said with a grin, "Your cousin's hair is, wow, very loud." I laughed it off. "You mean beautiful?" "Sure," he said. "Just intense. It makes people stare." Even when he suggested, half joking, "If we ever have a kid, I hope they get your skin but my nose. Best of both worlds, right?" I smiled like it was cute. I didn't hear what he wasn't saying. I was in love, truly, blindly in love. Here was a man who didn't flinch at my success, didn't complain when I worked late, didn't show up with fragile ego every time I signed a bigger deal. He said he admired my ambition. He bragged about me to his friends. He told everyone how proud he was of his wife, the CEO. So when he asked me, "Do you trust me enough to marry me?" I didn't hesitate. Of course I trusted him. We had a small but elegant wedding. His family looked stiff in the photos, but they were polite. My family danced, laughed, and filled the room with noise and color and love. The photographer said he'd never seen such different worlds in one room. I took it as a compliment. After the wedding, Andrew convinced me to let him quit his job and join my company in a more strategic role. "You're doing too much alone," he said. "Let me help. Let me protect what you build." I thought it was romantic. My friends called it risky, but I defended him. He took over some operations, handled a few vendor contracts, charmed clients on calls. At home, he cooked sometimes, booked our vacations, brought me tea when my migraines hit after long meetings. I told myself this was partnership. And when I saw how hard he tried, I told myself his awkward comments about race were just clumsy attempts to understand my world. He said he had never dated a black woman before. I thought I was opening his eyes. But as I stand outside this clinic now, the doctor's words replay in my mind like a broken record. He said he can't raise a child who won't look like him. Suddenly, all those tiny moments I dismissed, all the awkward pauses from his parents, all the jokes about not wanting our kid to suffer, rearrange themselves into a picture that feels horrifyingly clear. The signs were there. They weren't small, they weren't subtle. I was just too in love to see them. The drive home from the clinic felt like moving underwater. Everything around me, traffic lights, passing cars, pedestrians, blurred in slow motion. My mind was too loud, too sharp. Every breath burned. When I walked through the front door, Andrew was sitting on the couch, scrolling on his phone like any ordinary day. My husband. The man who kissed my forehead every night. The man who whispered, "I can't wait to have a family with you." Just weeks ago, I stood in the doorway, clutching my purse, unable to even take off my shoes. He didn't look up immediately. "Tammy, you're home early." I set my keys down on the console. "Why did you tell my doctor to end my pregnancy?" His head snapped up. "Tammy, calm down. Answer the question," I said, my voice cracking. "Why did you call him?" He stood, brushing invisible lint off his shirt. "I was trying to help you. You've been stressed. I know your schedule. A baby right now?" "A baby right now is exactly what I want." My throat tightened. "Why did you tell him I agreed to end it?" His expression changed, subtle but unmistakable. Not surprise, not remorse, annoyance. "Tammy, don't make this dramatic. I just wanted options on the table. You move too fast when you want something. I was trying to protect us." I felt something inside me turn cold. You told him you can't raise a child who doesn't look like you. Silence, his jaw locked. Did he actually say that? Yes. He exhaled sharply and looked away. I didn't mean it the way it sounds. Then how did you mean it? My voice rose despite my trembling. Explain it to me. He took a long breath and rubbed his temple like I was the one causing a headache. This is complicated, Tammy. Family is involved. I stared at him. What family? He hesitated too long. My parents, he said finally. They have concerns. Concerns about what? He swallowed. About the baby. About how things will look. About what people will assume. My breath caught. What does it matter what people assume? He sat down again, elbows on his knees. Look, Tammy, I love you. But you know how society is. Mixed kids. Say it, I said quietly. He didn't. I took a step closer. You don't want a black child. He shot up from the couch. Don't twist my words. I flinched at the sudden movement. Tammy, he said, voice rising, I'm the one who has to present my family to the community. I'm the one who deals with my parents. My father said he won't accept. Won't accept what? My voice was shaking. He ran a hand through his hair. A kid who doesn't carry our bloodline's look. You know what I mean. No, I said, I don't. He stared at me, chest heaving. Then, as if a mask slid right off, his face hardened. You know exactly what I mean. My heart cracked. You married me, I whispered. You chose me. I didn't choose hardship, he fired back. I didn't choose drama. I didn't choose to spend the next 18 years explaining things to people. My stomach dropped. And the baby? I asked. That's drama? His eyes darted away. We can try again, later, when it makes more sense. When things are more controlled. Controlled. The word hit me like a punch. You want to erase this baby, I said, barely breathing. My baby. He didn't deny it, and that was the moment I knew. The man standing in front of me was not the one I married, but just when I thought the morning at the clinic was the worst part of my day, I found something in his office drawer that made my blood run cold. Later that night, when he went to shower, I slipped into his home office. I needed answers. I needed to know who I was living with. On his email tab, still open, a thread between him and a friend from college. She's great, but I didn't think about the kid situation. I don't want people assuming stuff. My parents won't tolerate a kid who doesn't look like a proper Wallace. My hands shook. Then I found a document titled Postnuptial Revision Draft. My name, my assets, clauses about inheritance, after medical procedure. My throat sealed shut. He wasn't just trying to terminate the pregnancy. He was preparing to take my money afterward. I pressed a hand to my chest, trying to breathe. The betrayal wasn't just emotional. It was financial, strategic, cruel. The baby inside me, my tiny, growing life, was something he saw as an obstacle, a blemish, a problem, a child he didn't want because of her skin. I closed his laptop quietly, walked out silently, and sat on the edge of our bed for a long time. I stared at the wall until my eyes burned, and for the first time since marrying him, a terrifying thought settled into my chest. I am not safe with this man. If you're still here with me, tell me where you're listening from. I'd love to know how far this story has traveled. Now, back to the story. The next morning, Andrew left early for a meeting. I didn't ask where. I didn't care. The moment his car backed out of the driveway, I grabbed my purse, my keys, and my trembling courage. I drove straight to the gynecologist. He looked startled when I walked in without an appointment. Tammy, are you all right? No, I said. But I need something from you. I told him I wanted everything documented, every message, every call, every note he made after speaking to my husband. At first he resisted, shifting uncomfortably, but when he saw the bruise forming under my left eye from crying all night, his shoulders softened. I should never have allowed him to interfere in your medical decisions, he whispered. You can correct it now, I said. He nodded. 10 minutes later, he handed me a written statement and printed call logs. Proof. Evidence. Truth on paper. With shaking hands, I scanned everything into my phone and placed the originals into a safe envelope. Step 1. Protect the baby. Step 2. Protect myself. On my way back to the car, my phone buzzed. A text from Andrew. Pick up almond milk on your way home. Just like that. As if nothing had happened. As if he hadn't tried to destroy our family before it even fully existed. I turned my phone face down on the passenger seat. I wasn't going home. Instead, I drove to the only lawyer in my network I trusted deeply, Mara, a sharp, soft-spoken woman who had helped me close multi-million-dollar deals, but who also had a reputation for being ruthless when necessary. I thought I understood the depth of his betrayal until my lawyer showed me something that changed everything. When she saw me walk into her office, pale and exhausted, she didn't ask questions. She just closed the door. "What happened?" I handed her the envelope. She read in silence. Her lips tightened. She took a slow breath. "Tammy, this is not just racial animus. This is coercion, fraud, and financial manipulation. He's preparing a financial takeover after terminating your pregnancy." My voice cracked. "I know." She looked at me gently. "Do you want a divorce?" The answer fell out of me, simple and clear. "Yes." "Okay," she said softly. "Then we do this quietly and intelligently." We spent the next 2 hours planning, freeze joint accounts, secure my business shares, update my will, file for an emergency protective order, document every racial statement he made, move out today. Everything in me wanted to crumble, but I didn't. I couldn't. I had someone else to protect now. When I finished signing papers, she touched my hand. "You're safe now. He can't blindside you anymore." I nodded, exhaling shakily. My last step before leaving the building was to check the security footage from my home's office camera. Andrew never remembered I had a cloud backup. Comment by Chuck's rehooked tension. I scrolled through recordings until I reached last night. There he was, unlocking my desk drawer, opening my notebooks, searching for my financial binder. He even tried to log into my laptop, wrong password after wrong password, until finally giving up. My stomach turned. This wasn't the man who brought me tea when I was tired. This was a man digging for money, a man counting assets, a man treating me like a business he planned to acquire. By the time I stepped outside, the sky had turned gray. A cold wind swept down the block, whipping my hair around my face. I held my belly gently with one hand. "I'm leaving him," I whispered to my unborn child. "I'm leaving now." I drove home quickly, packed a suitcase, grabbed my important documents, and left the house without looking back. Our wedding photo still hung by the entryway. Smiling faces, the illusion of love, his parents stiff beside us. I turned the frame face down on the table. Then I walked out the door and locked it behind me. I wasn't Tammy the wife anymore. I wasn't Tammy the CEO. I was Tammy the mother, and I would fight for my baby with every breath I had. The next morning, Andrew exploded. He called, then texted, then called again. "Where are you? Why did you empty our joint account? We need to talk now." Mara had advised me not to respond. I didn't. But when he couldn't reach me, he did the one thing she predicted he would. He stormed into her office. But I didn't know he was about to do something even more dangerous. I heard the commotion from the back hallway. His voice, angry, entitled, echoed through the walls. "I want to speak to my wife." Mara calmly opened her office door. "She's not your concern anymore." "The hell she isn't," he shouted. I stepped out then. He froze when he saw me, and then his face twisted. "Tammy, what are you doing? Why are you acting like this?" I held my ground. "I filed for divorce." His eyes bulged as if I had stabbed him. "For what? Because I wanted us to make a logical decision. You're being emotional." "You told a doctor to end my pregnancy behind my back." He waved his hands dramatically. "I was trying to keep our lives stable. You're exaggerating. And because our baby will be mixed," I said, refusing to let him dodge it. Silence sucked the air from the room. His mouth tightened. "That's not what I said." "It's exactly what you said." His temper flared. "You don't understand what you're putting me through." Mara stepped forward. "Mr. Wallace, I have to inform you, your statements and actions constitute coercion and medical interference. Your attempt to defraud your wife is documented." He spun toward her. "You're lying." Mara didn't blink. She placed the printed evidence on the conference table like a deck of cards being dealt in slow motion. Every message, every email, every word. Andrew's skin went pale. This is out of context." "Then explain it," I said. His eyes flashed with anger. "You want the truth? Fine." He jabbed a finger at me. "My parents don't want a mixed grandchild. They'll cut us off. Their inheritance, their connections. I don't care about your parents," I said quietly. "Well, I do," he roared. His voice cracked through the room. My heart hammered, but I didn't move. "And you know what else?" he sneered. "I don't want to deal with the looks, with questions, with people wondering whose kid it is." I felt something inside me fracture. Mara's expression didn't change, but her eyes sharpened. Andrew wasn't done. You trapped me with that pregnancy, he spat. You did this on purpose. My entire body went numb. Trapped you? I whispered. You said you wanted a family. He scoffed. I said what you wanted to hear. You're the one who's obsessed with image, a powerful CEO with the perfect life, the perfect husband. Stop, Mara said. You need to leave the building. I'm not done, he shouted. He pointed at my stomach. That thing is going to ruin everything we built. If you love stories of betrayal, hidden truths, and justice that strikes when no one expects it, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. New stories drop every day, each one darker, sharper, and more unforgettable than the last. Now, back to the story. The room fell dead silent. Even he realized what he'd just said, but only for a moment. Mara pressed a button under her desk. 2 security officers appeared at the doorway. Mr. Wallace, she said evenly, you are now trespassing. You will be escorted out. He glared at me, something dark and hateful in his eyes, something I had never seen before. This isn't over, he said through his teeth. You'll regret this. No, I said softly, I won't. The officers guided him out as he continued yelling down the hallway. When the door finally shut, the room felt too quiet. My knees trembled. Mara walked over and placed a hand on my shoulder. You did the right thing. You protected your child. For the first time since this nightmare began, I let myself cry. Not from fear, not from loss, but from relief. Because the truth was out. The mask was off, and he could never hurt me or my baby again. 2 weeks later, I woke up to sunlight filtering through soft white curtains in my new apartment, a place chosen for peace, safety, and the quiet joy of starting over. I placed my hand on my growing belly. I spoke softly to the tiny life inside me. You're safe now, I whispered. I promise. The divorce petition moved quickly. The restraining order was approved. Andrew's attempts to contact me were logged and ignored by law enforcement. He tried to paint himself as a victim online, but the evidence Mara had prepared was airtight. He had underestimated me. Meanwhile, the doctor who'd been pressured into preparing the termination documents requested a meeting with me. He looked heavier, worn down by guilt. I'm sorry, he said. I should never have agreed to anything. Your husband, he was forceful. I know, I replied gently, and thank you for helping me now. He squeezed my hand gratefully. I forgave him because I needed to release that weight. I couldn't carry old anger while growing something new. And just when I thought the chaos was over, the final reveal came during my next ultrasound appointment. The next appointment showed a tiny heartbeat fluttering strong and steady. I cried again. Not from pain. Never again. But from gratitude. If stories of betrayal and hidden truths keep you thinking long after they end, click the story showing on your screen now.